And I am live. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Oh, hang on. To Forgot to mute myself. All right. Anyway, as I said, good morning, everybody. I hope you all had a restful night's sleep. I know that I did, and raring to go for another live stream to put on for you folks. It's kind of gloomy out here in Arizona, but all is well. Um, Got me a nice picture of the Grand Canyon for a backdrop. I took that picture last year when I went there with motorhome and took the gray cover off the chair because I'm wearing a gray shirt, so I didn't want that to bleed in. So changing up things a little bit here. But anyway, it's good to be back and just have some things that I wanted to share with everybody. Um, I was thinking of what some of the things I was talking about yesterday, and in relationship to like the successful society. And um, one of the things that has come to me is the role of property in all of this. Um, Back in 2011, the beginning of 2011 was probably one of the most troublous times of my entire life. And by the end of the year, things had turned around drastically because I became acquainted with Bitcoin and the role of cryptocurrency. And the following year in 2012, I had moved back to Pennsylvania because my dad had gotten sick. And while I was back there, I had an experience that essentially naturalized me into what could be called the successful society. The process of naturalization is a term that is used to describe a person becoming part of a government, of like a kingdom. It's basically a transfer of citizenship. Of course, what I'm talking about here, what I experienced in 2012, pertains more to the spirit and one's life's experience rather than a legal transaction. But that experience greatly impacted how I related to life and how I related to other people from that point on. It's like I understand why people are the way that they are because I understand why I am the way that I am. And as a result, I had no longer found fault with anybody. And that understanding and that liberty that I experienced has essentially empowered me to not get embroiled in the drama that I tend to see erupt among different people and in different environments, not just things on Twitter, but just in life in general. So in 2013, I encountered the testimony of a man who went by the name of Marcus. And he had put together two series of videos that he published. The first series was on confusion, and the second series was called Unraveling. And at the center of his entire presentation and why he put it together had to do with the subject of property. And property, by definition, is that which one owns or one possesses, or more specifically, that which one is authorized to exercise their will over. And he essentially talks about the crash course in property that he experienced as a result of having a bird sanctuary on his property and the entanglements that resulted in him experiencing with the Canadian government. But that really got me to thinking about this subject of property and how fundamental it is to everybody's relationship to the world and to one another. And, there's been talks among people in Hex about, this thing called Hexago and the idea of starting our own country. And I remember having an interview with a girl named SJ about this. And I remember talking about how, if people are seriously considering something of that nature, that they really need to have a conversation about the subject of property. Because at the heart of every conflict between two people or more is a property dispute in one way or another. And if that is not something that is addressed, then, property disputes, if not resolved, is what turns into wars. And it may not just be, guns blazing and people killing each other types of wars, but that's the heart of every conflict. And, there's different levels of warfare that people can experience. Usually it starts with diplomatic warfare. That's what you see on Twitter with people, going off on their drama about one thing or another. Then from there, you have propaganda warfare, where you have people working together to make the other person or the other party look like the bad guy in the situation. And the media plays into this a lot, where you see people being demonized for one thing or another. It makes me think of this recent interview with Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin. I haven't watched that interview. I don't know if I'll get around to watching it. I'm not that interested in world affairs, but, you would think that, heads of state being given a public platform where they can have a dialogue with somebody would be a good thing, because we would know where people are coming from and what they're about. But most of the rest of the media is just demonizing Tucker Carlson for, having the audacity of having a conversation with somebody and recording it. But this is an example of propaganda warfare. And when that fails, then there's economic warfare, where you have people refusing to do business with one another because of some kind of property dispute. And, there's a lot of speculation about people not being able to buy and sell because of things that are written, particularly in the book of Revelation, about the mark of the beast and stuff like that. And I'm not going to dwell on that subject at length right now. But again, this is another example of economic warfare that is introduced to try and people conquering one another when they cannot respectfully settle their disputes. And then if all of those things fail, then the guns come out and people just kill each other. And this, this type of predictable, systematic approach to property disputes, to me, is natural evidence that there has to be an ultimate absolute property owner who has the final word as to who is entitled to what. Because if there isn't, then life for humanity is nothing but a constant cycle of war. Because human beings have a natural way of relating to everything as property, whether it be dirt, oil, objects, people. If there's two guys and one girl, one guy's getting the girl and the other guy isn't, and chances are the other guy's not just going to walk away. And if that's the case, then you have a property dispute. Now, granted, it's not ideal for human beings to treat one another as property, but that's what people naturally do unless they're motivated by a higher principle. So, this subject of property is something that people need to be willing to look at as they go through life. And that's something that's been unfolding to me since the end of the last live stream that I wanted to share with everyone. But before I go on to talk about anything else, I want to take the time to acknowledge a couple of people that have showed up in the chat. Dominic, what is up, Timmy? Well, Dominic, a lot has been going up. As you can see, I'm live streaming now. And I'm glad that you stopped in. And I hope you are doing well. I hope your brother's doing well. And I haven't really done anything to promote these live streams yet. I want to do a whole week of them and see how what that looks like at the end of the week. And then that will determine what kind of promotional efforts I put forward going forth from that point on. But I'm glad you stopped in, and I'm hoping to get back east this year so I can check you out and possibly check out another person in the chat. And that is Mr. Melv Tony. Good morning, fellow Hexicans. Yes, good morning to you too, sir. Melv Tony is an awesome contribution to the Hex space, if anybody doesn't know. He has a wonderful way of putting together statistics about the price of different assets on Pulse Chain, and he publishes those regularly on Twitter, and he also publishes those in the chat box on the Friday night hangout. And I have a particular appreciation for math, so I am always giving my personal thumbs up and liking to Melv Tony's contributions. And not only is Melv Tony a proficient mathematician, but so is Richard Hart. And I remember Richard did he made a tweet one time, and he posted a picture of his math textbook when he was in 6th grade. And I looked at those pictures and I was just like, whoa, you're learning that in 6th grade, dude? Wow. And in his tweet, he asked, "What did you learn in 6th grade?" And, I responded to him, and I told him that, in 6th grade, we were learning about the history of the Soviet Union. We were learning, let's see, our science was more experimental rather than just academic and book related. And our math was still basic arithmetic. That was the whole thing throughout elementary school in my time. And I mentioned that we were starting to do public speaking because we had to do a current event story and talk about it in front of the whole class. And we also learned how to engage in debate. And those two things were my favorite because I was a rather shy kid in elementary school. So these things were forcing me to confront this. And I remember Richard responding by saying respect for a correct answer because everybody else that answered his tweet, you know, they were all just juvenile answers having to do with boobs and butts and stuff like that. And I was like one of the only people who actually answered his question. So I don't know if that's what earned me a follow from Richard on Twitter, but nonetheless, uh, I respect the fact that Richard, you know, uh, went forward with his mathematical knowledge because that is what uh, gave us hex. And it's kind of interesting in the highest of stakes movie, it opens up with people having to read a card and it's asking to describe Richard Hart in one word, and half the people are using the word God to describe Richard. And I'm thinking if I was in that movie, I would have used the word mathematician to describe Richard because hex is a mathematical product, not a legal product. If hex was a legal product, then it would have been more consistent to use the word God to describe Richard because literally a God is a lawgiver. If you look at the literal exact definition of the words. But anyway, that's that. I want to take a moment here to recognize Mr. Clairvoyant in the chat. I'm here listening to you preach, just walking the dog. I'm excited about ETH Denver here at the end of February. Actually, are you, okay, you must be referring to another event in Denver. I'm thinking of the event that I met you at in Denver a couple years ago. But anyway, Clairvoyant, welcome back, my friend. I made reference to you yesterday, but I didn't remember your screen name and I didn't want to dox your real name, so I just referred to the guy that was on my stream from before. But anyway, thanks for being back. It's good to see you again. So anyway, that's that. I do want to shift gears here a little bit. You know, I'm not really here to preach all that much. I'm mainly just talking to occupy time and space. Hopefully, as more activity takes place in the chat, I could spend more time engaging with other people instead of just, you know, speaking directly to the air. But I do want to shift things up here a little bit. I want to share something here that I grabbed off of Twitter the other day. This is a graphic that I want to share. And let me get my screen share going here. And this is called a leagues chart. And oops. Yeah, this is a league chart. And the reason I pulled this off is I wanted to focus on the COM leagues here. I've talked about in the past how much I love COM because of its relationship to Hex and how it can serve as a decentralized automatic marketing network for Hex, or DAM for short. And if you stake Hex for at least 6 months, you can claim COM for free. And if you stake Hex for at least a year, you can claim COM at the beginning of your Hex. That's called the start bonus. And you can claim more of it at the end of your Hex, which is the end bonus. And what's interesting is when you claim your COM, you don't have to mint it right away. You can restake your COM in order to get more of it. But if you do mint your COM, you can't stake it. COM that is claimed cannot be staked. Or excuse me, COM that is minted cannot be staked. You can stake it when you claim it, but if you mint it instead of stake it, well, then you forfeit the ability to stake it. So a lot of people have minted their COM, and that COM has been available for practically nothing for the longest time. And Johnny Sachs, the man who has come up with the secret weapon, or at least the mathematics behind the secret weapon works, bought a whole bunch of that COM and locked it up live on a stream through a contract called Time Pays Me. And he locked it up for like some insane number of years, like 18 years or something. So because of that, even though the quantity of COM is accounted in like the trillions and quadrillions of coins, the actual supply is becoming more and more scarce because the ability to mint COM is proportional to the available of Hex T shares that are available. Clairvoyant asks the question, can you mint or stake COM with existing stakes from 2020? Yes, you can, because they are native stakes. HSI stakes, which you create through the Hedron contract, are not recognizable by the COM contract, only native Hex stakes. So yeah, if you go to communist.app, that's the URL for the interface, and let the contract talk to your wallet, it'll pull up on the user interface for COM. It'll show you your stakes that you can claim the start and end bonus. And then whatever you have available to claim with your start bonus, you can mint that COM now, or you can stake it. But yeah, that's available. Go to communist.app. COMMUNIS.app. There's no T. It's not communist. It's just communists. But anyway, the point that I wanted to share with you here is there are staking leagues available that tell you your position if you acquire a bag of COM. Now, I have been daily cost averaging into COM because I'm a big supporter of the secret weapon. Our objective is to basically remove COM from the market by either buying it or acquiring it to use to provide liquidity in relationship to HEX, because we want to drive the price of COM up so that when people create new HEX stakes, particularly 5555 HEX stakes, when they go to mint their start bonus, the dollar value of their start bonus is comparable to the dollar value that they put into their HEX stake. As I said, we're not there yet, but the ability to get there is going to become easier as more COM is removed from the market. Because as I said, the ability to mint COM is directly proportional to the T-share. So as T-shares become harder to acquire because the price of HEX going up, and the more HEX that you need to acquire a T-share goes up, the more scarce COM will be. Again, COM doesn't look scarce because of, the coin supply is in the quadrillions. You can get trillions of them for, dollars. So you have to see through the numbers and look at the ratios. And if you look at this league chart, which I have to minimize this to look at it, you could essentially be a dolphin for a little over $400. So if you literally swapped something, $400 of something for $400 worth of COM, then you can literally hold a dolphin position in that asset. And I personally, I've been dollar cost averaging into COM, and when this league chart came out, I noticed that my COM position, league position, is directly proportional to my HEX position. And I didn't even plan to do that. I just noticed that based on looking at this chart. But anyway, there are other league charts that are shown here. HEX on Pulse Chain, HEX on Ethereum, Hedron, Pulse, the Pulse token itself, and another token that I want to take a look at here, and that's the incentive token. As I've said before, my three favorite coins, my three favorite assets in the whole wide world right now are all listed on this chart, and that's HEX, COM, and INC. Because first of all, if you meet the conditions, I've said this before, you can acquire all three of those assets for free. And all three of those assets are each designed to support the Pulse Chain ecosystem. To me, they're like the three, the holy trinity of Pulse Chain is HEX, COM, and INC. And want to shift things a little bit here to, do a little exercise in my technical analysis. If you'll bear with me for a second. Yeah, here we go. I want to do another screen share here. And I want to share this. This is gopulse.com, and there's a lot of numerical, statistical information available on this site. I've did a walkthrough on this site previously, but I want to open up the incentive token price chart just because this is my exercise in technical analysis, and I am not the most technically analytical person to consult, but hey, practice makes perfect. But anyway, this is the price chart for the incentive token. And this is automatically defaulted to the 15-minute chart. And what that means is that each one of these candles represents a 15-minute time period. The fact that the candles are green means that the price at the end of the 15-minute time period was higher than it was at the beginning. If it were reversed and the price was lower at the end, then the candle would be red. So right now, we just noticed that the price dipped just a tiny bit. So now we're presently looking at a red candle on this time chart. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make these candles a little bigger. But this is essentially how a time chart is read, no pun intended. And there's different criteria that you can select to show the price action on this chart. As I said, this is a 15-minute chart. You can switch it up to an hour, and you can click this drop down menu and you have multiple choices for viewing the price chart going all the way up to 1 month. But this is now currently the hour price chart. And as you can see, we are going up in price in ink. And this is very encouraging because I really think the incentive token is the sleeping giant on the whole pulse chain system. I find it very interesting that when the Securities and Exchange Commission has come against Richard Hart and his assets, in their legal brief, they do not mention the incentive token. And there's this shroud of mystery surrounding this token. Some people consider it the Richard Hart meme token. And so be it if that's what it turns out to be, but I think that it has a lot more potential than that. I believe in the coding of this token, there's a description in there about this coin serving as a means of voting for future assets that could appear for this token. It can possibly give you voting power for future pairs that would appear in the farm where you can acquire the incentive token for free. I want to read this one chat here that came up here. In my opinion, you should ensure never folks see the relative performance versus pulse. The reason being is the alternative for most to holding the tokens you are talking about is pulse. The reason being is the alternative for most to holding the tokens you are talking about is pulse. So COM versus wrap pulse instead of the COM versus USDC. I'll keep that thought in mind. That makes sense. Yeah, in this case, I just clicked the price chart that was there in the Go Pulse page. But previously, when I've talked about COM, I compared it to Hex. I pulled up the COM Hex price chart. But yeah, the next time I pull up a COM price chart, I'll do that in relationship to Rat Pulse. But this price chart here is actually the ink, the incentive token price chart. But anyway, like I said, I'm really a noob at doing technical analysis. Um, if you want to consult an expert on TA, I would recommend Donovan. He's a newer guy. He's younger, and I'd have to pull up his Twitter account here. Let's see. I'm not seeing it here in the search, but anyway, I'll probably have more to say about him in the future. But anyway, the point being, if you want real TA, there's people who are much more qualified than me. I'm still kind of new at this, and mainly because I haven't taken that much interest in TA because I have T shares, and holding Hex T shares kind of makes looking at charts rather irrelevant, but it is fun. And yeah, so that's all I'm going to do in regards to talking about assets for now. Let's see. What I want to do now is I want to talk about a business that is out there in the real world. I mentioned this yesterday. One of the things that I want to talk about as part of this live stream as a highlight is I want to highlight different businesses that exist in the real world that are somehow affiliated with Hex or Pulse Chain, or if they're not, they have some kind of relationship to somebody who is involved in this space, just to help. Let's see. All right. Just to help people, one another, as far as like our whole ecosystem is concerned. It's like we're all in this together, and we have to help one another. So I have a business that I want to highlight this morning that I would like to share with all of you. And let me pull this up here. I'm going to share my screen. I hope Dominic is still here joining us because he may appreciate this. But the business that I want to highlight this morning is called Montesano Brothers. This is their website. The URL is themontesanobros.com. And I am personally acquainted with the Montesano brothers. These guys are located in Eagle, Pennsylvania. And I'm from that part of the country. I'm originally from Chester County, Pennsylvania, which is where their restaurant is located. And I first became acquainted with Vinny Monsanto in the summer of 2012 when I moved back to Pennsylvania. I mentioned earlier, I moved back to Pennsylvania in 2012 because my dad got sick. And I was staying with my dad's youngest brother, which is my uncle that I also bought my real estate from. He had an apartment in the basement of his house that he let me stay in while I was there. And my uncle also owned some commercial property that was adjacent to his residential property. And one of the buildings on his commercial property was rented out to Vinny Montesano. And that's where he basically got started in Chester County. So I would go over there periodically to use the internet or enjoy a sandwich or whatever, have lunch. And Vinny introduced himself to me one day. And I don't know how many times in your life you've met someone and you just knew instantly that you liked this person. There was just something about them that you admired. There was just their character, just the way they presented themselves. Kind of like Seth Mendoza, the person who received the Hexagon of the Day award on the first day. Vinny was one of those types of people. I knew I liked this guy the first time I met him. And we've been friends ever since. And I told them about crypto ever since I got into it. And Vinny eventually got some hex stakes. So anyway, this is the website for the Montesano brothers. And I cannot recommend their food enough. And if you look at this, these first three pictures are from their first restaurant when they were located next door to my uncle's property, where they were first set up. But anyway, they have since moved into their own building on their own property down the road at their current location in Eagle. And this picture in the center here is Vinny with his three brothers, Michael, Anthony, and Stephen. And Michael and Anthony in particular are very talented, and they are presently in a band that is called Love Me, My Alien. And I want to take a moment to share with you, let's see, hang on here. Here we go. I want to share with you their YouTube channel called Love Me, My Alien. That's, they've got 3 music videos that they've produced that you can see on their channel. And I am particularly fond of their newest song called Feel I Found a Friend. I would play it. I don't know how finicky YouTube is about playing music and stuff on a live stream. I've seen people, have their streams cut off because of playing music, but I love that song and I recommend that you go listen to it. And like I said, if you are ever in Chester County, Pennsylvania, you need to look up the Montesano brothers and go to their restaurant and enjoy some super awesome food. And here's another picture of Michael and Anthony, very talented musicians. They also have outdoor seating for when it's not, gloomy like it is right now. But anyway, that's the business that I wanted to highlight today. Dominic, who was on here earlier, is a friend of theirs. And so I'm glad he stopped in. Hopefully he got to see some of that. But anyway, while I'm, highlighting other people, I want to take a moment to shift to the highlight of this stream, and that is the Hexagon of the Day award. And normally I would, shift into talking about something regarding current events before going to the Hexagon of the Day award. But for time reasons, I want to get into this next because, again, the focus of this stream is the successful society. And society is made up of people. And, I like taking the time to highlight the people that I feel are contributing to this. And that's part of the reason for the prestigious and highly coveted Hexagon of the Day award. And the person who is the recipient of this award today is someone who, as far as I know, he's been in Hex since the very beginning, probably day one. And this person is pretty noteworthy because his main introduction to the Hex community revolves around the fact that Hex helped him pay off some expenses that were weighing on him at that time. And as part of his appreciation for the things that Hex has done for him, he is probably one of the first people to get a Hex tattoo. And I remember he did a live stream of that while he was getting the tattoo. And there was a person who was pretty popular at the beginning of Hex that went by the name of Ski Cat that actually ended up paying for this procedure, or this person, to get his Hex tattoo. I have a friend locally who's like, yeah, when Hex goes to $1, we're getting matching tattoos. And I'm just like, I don't have any tattoos, and I'm quite reticent about getting one. But this person was not, and he's got a nice big Hex logo on his chest. But anyway, this person who is the recipient of the Hexagon of the Day award, I've talked to on a couple of occasions, and I eventually met him in person in Las Vegas at one of our Hex conferences. And, one of the things about YouTube and engaging with people on the internet is, people tend to look a lot smaller online than they are in person. And this person is no exception. On screen, he looks like this little guy. And when I met him in person, he's like, I'm 6'4", and he's pretty close, if not the same. And he's much more bigger than I am, like muscular. And I was pretty surprised to see that he was that big of a person. But just very, very personable guy. And I was very happy to have finally met him. He does a lot more behind the scenes now. I haven't really seen him on stream as frequently as he was at the beginning. He does a lot of technical work for people. And as a matter of fact, he has set up a validator store for Pulse Chain. And he is very much involved on the technical support side of Pulse Chain. He has even set up a means for people who want to be validators on the network. They can just get a hold of him, and he can, if you want to host your own hardware, you can go through him and he'll tell you everything. He has the equipment available and he'll tell you how to get started, or you can just go onto his store and he can host hardware at his location. You could essentially rent hardware that he runs. So all the details of that are, he can tell you all the details of that. But I want to pull up his Twitter handle here. And I should have done this beforehand. But yeah, here I have the person that I am very privileged and very honored to present with the Hexagon of the Day Award goes to, oh, it already came up. It goes to Mr. David Feeder. As I said, David is just an awesome asset to this community. He doesn't get embroiled in drama, and he just, he does his thing. And like I said, the people that I'm giving this award to are people who tend to not be so much in the spotlight. He was at the beginning, but he's not so much now. But at the same time, his contribution to this space is monumental. So it is a great honor to present the Hexagon of the Day Award to Mr. David Feeder. And I don't know when he'll get around to claiming it, but it's there. But so that is that. And it's really awesome to just be a part of this space and do whatever I can to contribute to it. And I hope that as time goes on, that more and more people are motivated to do their part to create a successful society. I dropped off something at a friend's house last night, and she happened to be there when I dropped it off. So we got to talking about this notion of a successful society. And it just clicked with her right away, because you contrast that with an unsuccessful society. And if you want to see a picture of what an unsuccessful society looks like, just turn on the news. You'll get a face full of it. And, the fact is, it doesn't have to be this way. We do have power and we do have authority. And unfortunately, most people take the power that they have and they use it against themselves. And they take the authority that they have and they give it to somebody else. But, we have the tools to live in the world that we want to live in. And, the downside of that is there's no excuse to not have that. So, this victim mindset that is so easily adopted and so popular really has no basis in truth. It's all self-created. So I hope you tap into your creative faculties and use these assets that we have to create something wonderful. And so with that, I think I'm going to wind this down. There's not a whole lot of activity going on in the chat, so otherwise I'd stick around a little bit longer. But I do want to thank everybody for joining me this morning. Those of you who have, whether you made yourself known or not, thank you. And I'm going to get on with my day, which would include putting together some material for tomorrow. And I guess before I go, somebody somebody just jumped on and said Messi or Ronaldo. That sounds Italian, and I don't know exactly what that means, but anyway, thank you for stopping by. And I'm probably going to type that into Google Translate and see what that says. But anyway, Melf you're welcome, sir. Assuming you're a sir, you do have Tony in your name. So it's good to hear from you and see you here. But yeah, I'm going to get going and see you all tomorrow. Bye.